Am I the asshole for losing it on my fiancé for disinviting my stepsisters from our wedding? I'm gonna keep it short. I 25 am getting married to my fiancé next month. We've had no issues with the wedding planning except the guest list. Context. I have a large family. I have 2 stepsisters, 18, 20, and a biological brother, 27, and also a biological sister, 30. My fiancé argued that the guest list should be cut short and suggested I only invite my immediate family. I asked him to elaborate and he suggested excluding my stepsisters. I said no and got upset with him for implying that they're not family. He said, "Well, this wasn't what I meant. I was just speaking from a technical angle, especially since I didn't include them in the wedding party like Mo and bridesmaids. So he thought they were unneeded, but I said they are wanted, and will always be wanted and included by me." Well, days ago, my stepsisters called saying my fiancé cancelled their invitations and told them some lie about changing wedding location and telling them they won't be able to come. I was fuming. I went home and started screaming at him. He asked that I hear him out, then explained he had no choice since we were required to shorten the list, and he just did my dirty work for me, since I obviously was looking at the situation from an emotional angle, and couldn't bring myself to disinvite my stepsisters myself. I called him a hypocrite cause he invited almost 6 of his friends who, as far as I know, aren't immediate family. I told him he hurt my stepsisters by going behind my back and excluding them from my wedding, which they've been so excited about. He got up from the couch and yelled that it's our wedding, so my stepsisters' feelings aren't really that relevant compared to his, and called me controlling for wanting my way or the highway. He took his phone and stormed out to see his friends. Some of his friends called to scold me for how I'm treating their brother, and then went on about how rude I was to suggest that their brother disinvite them from the wedding just because I don't like them, and called it a you problem. My FMIL called and is wanting to sleek to me. He probably told her what's going on and she is probably going to ask that I apologize for yelling. Please don't marry him op. Edit. Thanks for the awards. Less than 3 not the asshole. The only way you could be an asshole is if you married this guy. Give yourself a better future. Run. Not the asshole. But this should be the end of your relationship. The very end. Pack your shit and get out of there. Not the asshole, and you should call that wedding off ASAP. He clearly doesn't care about your feelings. You said they were family and you wanted them there, and he went behind your back and cut them off. Even lying to them instead of telling them the truth. Is this the kind of person you want to spend your life with? Not the asshole. So basically he's saying his family is more important than your family? He's being extremely hypocritical, as he usually like this, disregarding your feelings and doing what suits him regardless of your feelings on the situation. I'd take a step back and have a think if there are other times he's treated you or your family this way, and if so, is this really someone you want to be tied down to? If the behavior is out of the norm for him, I'd say try and speak to him. See what's causing him to behave like this while you still feel like the wedding is worth saving. Not the asshole. Girl, run. I can't believe his friends called and chastised you. WTF. This bullshit will only get worse. Girl, run. Not the asshole, but op, you've gotten a glimpse into the future of your relationship with this person and how they manage decisions that need to be made and what happens when you don't agree with their opinion on the matter. Until you've signed the marriage certificate, it's not too late to step back and reconsider. Not the asshole, and massive red flags. Significant other, many red flags. Like a Black Friday sale at the red flag store. Am I the asshole for telling my mom to go back to the family she replaced me with? My mom, 42, and I, 22, used to be really close. Like she's all I've ever had, and she's the one who taught me to be as strong as I am today, and her becoming a cop inspired my whole life. I love her so much and I admire how strong she, and I wish things were like how they were. Her uncle, my great-uncle, managed to bring her to Canada from Kosovo in 1999, if that helps give you guys an idea of the kind of things that she's been through. When I went to university, our relationship started changing. She disliked my GFS, my uni choice, wanted me to ferry home every weekend, and then I got a co-op term at a prestigious company in Vancouver. Don't ask. I'm not giving it up. That she did not want me to work for cause she had a moral stance against it. I agree with her, but it was a great opportunity. I'm going to grad at the end of the term and I'm set for a job with the VPD cause of it. But my mom cut me off cause of it and straight up told me not to come back, so I had to move in with my great-uncle and his son, my uncle. We started messaging again half a year ago after she sent me a chain message on WhatsApp, but we've been taking it slow. I follow my mom on IG, but she rarely posts, and when she does it's anti-war stuff. But then she put up this post with a caption something like, "So happy to have a real family again. Can't wait to go on my new journey." And it showed her boyfriend and her with engagement rings and an ultrasound. Like, I don't know, it just triggered something inside of me. Am I not her real family? Were we nothing? It just made me very angry, like I'm going to have the sibling and stepfather I always wanted and she couldn't even be bothered to tell me personally? Well, I decided to wait and see how long it would take her to call me about the news, and she just didn't. Reading break was 2 weeks ago, and at the end of it my mom came to my great-uncle's house to pick something up. She saw me and tried acting like no time had passed and how excited she was for my graduation and this and that. She still didn't acknowledge she's getting married. I just told her not to care about my graduation and to go back to the family she replaced me with. Left and stayed gone till she went home. My uncle told me that what I did made her cry and I was an asshole to her, and my great-uncle told me that I should have handled things with more tact. I feel bad about it cause she was reaching out to me and everything's been frosty with my uncles since then. Not the asshole, she wrote the post that insinuated she didn't have a real family, so now the post bit her in the bum. Info. Did you show your uncles the IG post? Ask them what were you supposed to think when she wrote, "So happy to have a real family again. Can't wait to go on my new journey." And it showed her boyfriend and her with engagement rings and an ultrasound, and she shows up acting like she didn't cut you off for where you work and nothing ever happened. No. Not the asshole. Edit. In my opinion, if she wants to reconcile, she needs to sit down with you one-to-one and explain why she did what she did. Because there's a good chance she may dump you again, especially if you do something else against her high moral standards, or if her boyfriend doesn't like you, or if she just doesn't have time anymore. Put some consistent effort into this relationship, mom, if you want one. Not the asshole. She's your mother. The least she could have done was to pick up the phone and tell you about the wedding and the baby. She cut you off for getting a job. Then she acts like nothing's happening and doesn't even bother telling you she's getting married after cutting you off and kicking you out for a job. She hurt you and now you have to suck it up? She can suck up a little. Great uncle seems to understand better than your uncle, since he said you should have been more tactful. Not that you shouldn't have said it at all. Not the asshole. She needs to understand that the lack of relationship now is her fault, not yours. Not the asshole. She should be crying in shame for treating you so poorly. Info. Did the company you got a co-op term for had a moral issue in relation with Kosovo? In 1999, Kosovo was in full-on war, and a very terrible place to live for some people. It's a lovely county, but times were hard. I would understand her being disappointed in you, if you supported a company that caused her and your family a lot of grief. There was a info missing about why their relationship failed. Everyone is like, OMG, your mom is awful for disowning you because you got a prestigious job. Really? Let's say you experienced war atrocities firsthand and you raise your kid to understand how wrong that is, and then they grow up and work for a company that is involved in war or arms. Just hypothetical. The fact that she missed him and didn't like his girlfriends, and wanted him to visit more is not a fucking red flag. This is a young single mom that has experienced trauma. It sounds to me like somehow mom has been tremendously hurt in all of this as well. Edit typos. Not the asshole, your mother has replaced you. You seem to be doing pretty good for yourself. Move on and enjoy your life. Am I the asshole for not helping my partner with our newborn? I know the title sounds bad, but I'm finding myself in a very difficult situation and I'm genuinely not sure if I'm in the wrong here. I 27M am a surgical resident, my partner 27F was a teacher, but is currently a stay-at-home mother to our newborn child. We met in college and have been together for just over 7 years now. Last year she took a pregnancy test after missing her period and found out she was pregnant. We were both happy, but also concerned about taking care of a child. My main concern when we found out was that I could not help out with the child because I work 80,100 hours a week. However, we both love each other and did want a family, so in the end we decided to keep the child and that she would take time off of work while I was completing my residency and take care of the kid. I would complete my residency and then, after having somewhat more humane hours, would obviously split child caring duties equally with her so that she can also return to work. It's been 3 months since our kid was born now and things have been rough to say the least. I'm still working nearly 100 hours a week and am constantly at the brink of exhaustion. If anything, my workload has increased since then, as I am now learning how to perform larger operations. My sleep is almost non-existent and I'm constantly under intense pressure due to my work environment. Things have obviously been rough for her, too. The pregnancy and delivery were without complication, but it goes without saying that it was still hugely taxing on her mentally and physically. Recently, my partner has been asking me to take care of our kid when I get home. Initially I helped her without hesitation, feeling like it was within my capacity and wanting to support her, but in the past few weeks she's been asking more and more of me, and a few days ago she demanded I take care of our kid immediately as I walked into the door. I hadn't even had time to take off my shoes yet, and when I said, "Just give me a second," she told me to hurry the fuck up. I later learned that she had an incredibly rough day and was just at capacity, but in the moment I was so caught off guard I yelled at her to back the fuck off. I was too exhausted to deal with it then, so I locked myself in the bathroom to take a long shower and calm down. We later talked about what had happened and apologized to each other, but during it she essentially told me that she felt like I wasn't doing enough to take care of the kid and that it was our responsibility equally. I told her that I felt like I was already doing more than we agreed on and that I can literally not do any more than what I am currently doing. After talking and arguing about this for about 2 hours we still couldn't come to an agreement and decided to leave the topic for now. So am I the asshole for not wanting to take on a larger parenting role during residency? Friends I've talked to seem split on the matter. No assholes here. This is a case of two people drowning and arguing over who has their head up out of the water a few inches more than the other. You have a newborn, are working 100 hours a week, and a wife who is most likely so overwhelmed she can't see straight. Both of you are sleep deprived and not in your right mind. What you need is help. I don't care who said they would do what before the baby came. It's here now and it's not what either of you expected. It's time to start from scratch and use your limited energy to find solutions to give you both reprieve. No assholes here, you're both exhausted and pushed to your limits. Snaps like this are going to happen. As long as you apologize afterwards and try to see things from the other point of view and remember you love each other, you'll be fine. Things will get better, you have to tough it out. Can you hire help? Get family or friends to help out a little? When I was a baby my mom's best friend took care of me a day or two a week and she's still considered my aunt to this day. Don't know what your support system is, but you seem to need to leverage it a little more. No assholes here, but your wife needs a family member or nanny or someone who can come in at some point during the day to give her a break. You both need a nap. You are both basically working 24 hours a day. It's unsustainable. Hire a friend, family member, or a good babysitter to watch the baby while you two have a nice uninterrupted sleep. Nah. In mom's defense, it's hard to keep your eyes on the long-term benefits when things are incredibly stressful in the present. In your defense, working that many hours in any profession leaves very little time and energy to properly care for a child. Friends, family, or a childcare provider are the best bets to give the two of you a much-needed break every now and then. Nah. Consider getting a nanny or babysitter to give your partner some time for herself and to allow you to get some rest. To everyone that is yelling that op is an awe, what quality of care for an infant can someone provide that is already working 80,100 hours a week? Y'all made that choice to have a baby at literally the worst time to have one. Now you both need to sit and work out something like babysitting services, a nanny or something else instead of the beginning of the "I'm the one doing more" Olympics that's showing in this post. No assholes here, you knew, and told her, in advance that your ability to help with your child would be very limited for the foreseeable future. Knowing those limitations, you both decided to have the baby anyway. She thought she could handle it, and it is not her fault that she was wrong. How could she know? You, on the other hand, don't have anything else to give. Your fatigue could actually cost someone their lives. You are both in a no-win situation. Since you are a resident, I assume you don't have money to hire someone to help out? If childcare is too expensive, maybe a maid, that way she can sleep, recharge when the baby sleeps, without having to worry about routine house maintenance too. Am I the asshole for having a trashy piercing while pregnant? I'm having my first baby soon and my obgyn is on vacation. I tried to make sure I had all my questions asked before she went, but something came up this week and I figured I would just ask the on-call doc. When I got to the clinic for my checkup, the nurse came in and after the usual I asked if I could talk to the on-call doctor. She said they were running behind and might not be able to see me today, so she asked me what the problem was and said she could help or determine if I really needed to talk to the doc. Also worth noting, maybe I don't remember ever talking with this nurse previous. I asked her what I should do about my CHP, which is a not safe for work area piercing I've had for 6+ years. She looked at me blankly, so I elaborated. She then kind of rolled her eyes and told me that she wasn't getting the on-call doc to ask about that and I would need to figure out what to do with my body jewelry on my own. I told her I would really like to get the doc's take on it, so I was going to need her to ask or let me talk to the doctor. She went on the computer for a minute and typed a bit and then said that I need to just take it out, and that's what the clinic protocol said. I asked her if I could put a retainer in to keep it safe to replace it after birth, and she told me I should take the opportunity to let go of trashy piercings and leave it since I was becoming a mom. I was shocked. When I told my friends about it, most of them were shocked too. But another friend who is studying to be a nurse said it was rude of me to make her uncomfortable and would be wrong of me to report her or anything because it's not her job to have to listen to unsolicited information about kinky stuff. And I was violating her consent in that conversation, which is something that happens too often to medical workers. With that context, I started wondering if I was the asshole. Should I have called my piercer instead? Was I out of line asking her such a personal question and pressing for an answer when she clearly didn't approve? Because it's not her job to have to listen to unsolicited information about kinky stuff. And I was violating her consent in that conversation, which is something that happens too often to medical workers. That's not how any of this works. If you don't want to hear about body parts, don't work in the medical field? Not the asshole. Your question was totally reasonable. And she sucks for implying that a piercing is somehow inappropriate for a mother to have. Not the asshole. Another friend who is studying to be a nurse said it was rude of me to make her uncomfortable. Something tells me this career may not pan out. The nurse works at an OB/GYN and can't handle a vagina question? She seems judgmental. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I've had the same piercing. Kept it in until I was in labor. My nurse asked my family in the room to leave to place a catheter. Told me I would need to remove it in case of surgery if something went wrong. She had a container for me to place it in. She even removed it for me because my stomach was too big. Said she didn't want to say anything in front of my in-laws. Lol. I put it back in the day after giving birth. File a complaint or report the nurse you had. Not the asshole. She works in the medical field, at an OB/GYN's office. They see more puss than an animal shelter most days. On top of that, her response was entirely put of line. She has no right to make a moral judgment on someone asking medical advice. Which is a legitimate question, as there isn't a lot of information in the open on these issues. Report her, absolutely. Not the asshole. If a nurse at an OB/GYN office can't handle such questions, she should work somewhere else, or at least step away and let someone else take over OP's care. Still talk to the doc about your question. You have a right to non-judgmental care. Her behavior was unprofessional, at the least. You might consider letting your doc know what happened. Also, talking to your piercer is a good idea, but not a substitute for you doctor. If someone isn't up for hearing about kinky stuff, they shouldn't be a doctor or nurse specializing in healthcare for the part of the body that people use for kinky stuff. That's like if someone went to see a doctor for a sex-related injury to their private areas and then the doctor going, "I haven't consented to hearing about your sex life." Like, what? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. It's a piercing, not a kink. A nurse who cannot answer a question should not just make crap up and then put their personal views on it. That's not okay. Report her.